Well, this is what people sometimes think is a migration of Liferay, right? And this is your reality. This is much more complex and problematic stuff you need to do, shift a lot of technologies around. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Gustav Novotný, and I'm from a company called ableneo. You can find our name around on the booth, etc. And well, we went through this journey quite a couple of times already, and we faced some problems, and we did mistakes even, and we learned from, hopefully. And today I would like to share with you the lessons we learned and how we form our migration process. In fact, this is a technical slide, right? It's upgrade. And who of you who already do a migration process, the process or the project where you take a platform on one version and move it to other version, it's actually much more than upgrade. And that's why I use the word migration in the title of my presentation, because the environment where you do this is changing. The customer maybe is undergoing the digital transformation, and maybe his people are shuffled around. Who knows that platform is now there, or maybe he's going to changing the processes, and he's doing automation or deploy using different build tools, or moving to cloud, right? Or maybe he's doing some huge refactoring behind. And I'm saying that because today our lessons learned are actually taken from the broader perspective than just the technical upgrade, what there are a lot of other presentations about. So my first point is no target platform. And now you might say, okay, what? Are you serious? Of course, we know Liferay, right? We may be doing it several years already. But still, I didn't hesitate to put such point here, because it's our experience that almost each project that we are there, we witnesses problems and difficulties that lie in the fact that the form implementer of the platform or the customer didn't knew the product well, didn't knew what are the possibilities, and did some work around behind. And I actually a little bit understand that, because it's hard to be informed about what's new. The platform is complex, like this oil rig and the image, and it's hard to keep informed and know each version as it's starting to be faster and faster. But still, if you do not do your homework, then probably your project will fail at some points in the future and could be disappointing not only for you but also for your customer. And the fact behind is also that migration projects are actually a chain of qualified decisions. You need to do a lot of decisions on the way. There is a chain of decisions, and if you imagine the situation of your customer, you are the only one here who can actually help him, because his position is that he can hardly know about hundreds, maybe changes that are in the platform in new version, and those will influence his work, right? He will influence the behavior, his behavior in the future. And you are the only one who can pinpoint the weak points, who can do the right analysis and show him what will be the behavior of his platform in the future. And that's the important thing. So how to get prepared for that? For sure, you need to learn all the features. You can read the documentation. But not only that is important, I would like to advise you, at least for the features that are commonly used, like content management system or document management system or search. Just get your hands dirty and try to test the features, try to implement extension points. So once you are somewhere and you need to do a decision, you actually know how this is done, how it behaves, and what are the circumstances. And one more thing. Yesterday was two nice presentations about tooling. Greg Emerson showed us how great tool is Workspace, and Eric Chi was saying something about the tooling on migration tooling. And what is important for us usually for migration to have a solid stack and development stack that we use that allows us to be smooth at the beginning of the project, not need to improvise. And we use Workspace for that. And each project we actually do some new. We enhance this tool for us, and this is something that is really reliable and functional. So this is something that you should not underestimate. And we would be able to talk about that for a long time, but actually we can summarize this as a one sentence. Try to be a good craftsman, like this man on the picture. You need to know the material you are working with, and you need to master your tools to be able to finally create something meaningful and useful, right? My second point is not about the platform, about product itself. It's about the source of your migration and about especially the customization and changes that are done. And we did this mistake several times also, that we underestimated what's there. There is always something under the carpet that you do not see from the surface. And there is a rule that I personally keep, that do not trust the customer, do not trust the former developers, and do not trust the documentation, especially if it's too short or too long, right? You always need to do your homework and go inside and check the source code and everything was there. Because if there is something like this that you are supposed to upgrade, you should know about each detail, each wire, where it's going, why it's there, and if it's really needed, etc. So if I should recapitulate what you should focus in your analysis, the first is the system configuration, especially from 6 to 7. Sometimes it's underestimated and just copy and paste, but I think you should go through each point. And what we usually do is right from the beginning of the project, we create a table where we put all the keys from the Portalex properties from 6x version. And then in the second column, we write the description column where we try to put the notes, what for the value is there, right? And many configuration options was moved to portal properties. So the third, fourth column, whatever, then we list there where to the particular configuration was moved. And if you do something like that, then finally, at the end of the project, you have perfect documentation of how the configuration changed, and you are sure that you touched each property. The customizations and override. Again, yesterday was a nice presentation by Eric Chi about that. So let me just emphasize: if there are none, you are actually happy. But if there are customizations and there were someone creative or someone lacking the knowledge of the platform, then you need to be very careful and you need to be prepared, and you need to touch each module. You will need to modularize all the former hooks, etc., and you need to rethink all the JSPs. And always try to analyze it as a whole, not like particular modules, but all the stuff, all the system, because sometimes there are weird dependencies that you would need to kind of think how to move them. For custom modules, it's nice documentation how to do it. There are tools, just few hints. Here also try to analyze the dependencies of the module, because they can change and you need to think if there will be available in the future version maybe, or also try to think about the technology on the portlets are made of. Because it's, for example, if it's Wicked, which can be seen sometimes, you don't want probably to create such support in DXP, right? And last but not least here, and very important thing, always try also to have a meetings with the key users and try to understand how they use the system, what are their what are their daily processes, how often they use some steps. So then you can, just after such analysis, you can have the full picture of the source, and you can then think of how you will migrate it, what you will do with that. And when to do that. And just one point, sometimes we realize that you can actually understand that some features are not even necessary to migrate. It's not so rare case, so then actually you can make your situation easier. And when to migrate, this is a diagram that I'm usually using when I'm talking to our clients at the beginning of the project, thinking of the migration, and allows me to show all the steps that are there. And this is what if I zoom to this first point, assessment and planning, this is actually what we have a specific service as a company. It's called DXP Readiness, and it's a separate project where for mid-size installations, it can take 4 to 5 days to analyze all the source code and gather information of the present solution, and where we are trying to find also the issues of the present system that needs to be, for example, fixed before we will start migration. And only after that, we can sit down and do a planning of tasks, create backlog, and plan the resources with some realistic stuff, right? Sometimes the initial analysis is not possible, and you need just jump in. But even in such situation, it's worth it, I think, to try to put something like this analysis process in. And this is what we already tested also in one project. And the solution is, it's similar to grooming in agile project management, but it's tailored to migration process. And it's about to dedicate one person who will be undergoing this specific stream. It needs to be one person who actually have everything in his head. He can have overview over the project, and his task is to analyze feature by feature and put down all the questions that he has, so he has the clarity that I was talking about. And for all features that are new and the customer maybe do not know about, to create proof of concept and demos. And then the second key thing is to have like regular communication with your client, where there are key users and decision makers, where you can actually, it could be each week or each 2 weeks, where you can ask the questions, get the answers, and show them what's there, what is how, for example, and try to figure out what are their wishes. And after that, when you are on the same boat, then you can actually fix the specification and put something in sprint. This process makes the whole situation much easier and structured and predictable. Okay, the third point is about opportunities. And often when I get into environment, when Liferay is used, developed, and maintained it for some time, I can see that there is a growing technical debt, right? It's natural stuff. Maybe there are different vendors delivering the modules with different quality. And maybe the surrounding is changing, so there are also some inconsistencies in architecture are appearing. And we always believe that a migration project is a great opportunity to fix some problems, right? If you are proactive. And not only that, not only fix the problem, and maybe if you think about it, the customer is in the situation when he is ready for a change. So maybe this is the best situation when you can consider to do even extension of how the platform is used and maybe and shift it a little bit. But this point is about proactivity. Probably this will not start from your user. You need to be, sensitive of what you are saying, what you see in the analysis, and put these topics on the table. So, what are the levels of these opportunities? First is just to remove the technical debt. This is most easier to incorporate into the project, and probably the customer will allow you to do that. And that can be maybe unification of the coding standards. Maybe you can incorporate a static analysis tool inside, or increase the level of automated text coverage, or remove that code. The second level is maybe you can improve something, right? You can do usage of the platform better or maintenance better. So one thing is that you can unify technology. Sometimes I see that there are Spring portlets, there are Liferay portlet MVCs, and maybe there are 2 proof of concepts of Vue.js portlet and React portlet, and maybe even Wicked. And now it's time, maybe you can think if this is a real added value in the project, or maybe for the happiness of the maintainers to change it and transform few portlets to keep the standard that is there. Or you can shift of using something and use new features like from the portlet pages into the content pages, or maybe fix some architecture patterns that are not relevant anymore. And the highest level from my perspective is to extend the platform usage. And this is about to sit with the people, because your experts are now in the environment, right? You can talk to people, you understand maybe the business behind the platform, how it's used. You maybe see the other applications in the environment. And this is a good opportunity to talk about that, what you see, and maybe that if the customer uses a third-party solution for forums, maybe he can now use the DXP forum because it's a much better feature than it was before, and similar stuff. But in the same time, as I'm talking about to put all the opportunities on table and understand them and maybe create some stubs of projects of them. I think it's also not good. It's not good to do everything in one project. It's good to divide it and maybe do something before migration, something during the migration, and something after. Because if you do too much stuff in one place, if you chase too many rabbits, then probably it will be a mess. My first point is about why we in a company like the principle of isolation, automation within the migration projects. And I would like to demonstrate it in this diagram. Hopefully you see that. It's showing how we like to do the migrations, and I would like to emphasize 3 points here. One is this reference environment. This is something very useful for us, and we always insist to have something like that. And it's actually a complete snapshot of the live environment, which is handy because the migration can take several months, and we would like to have a fixed state of the environment, what we can easily test according to, right? And we have the full reference, and also sometimes we need to do some investigation of the source. So it's sometimes not possible to do on live environment debugging and restarting of the server, etc., what you can do on a reference environment. Then you can see here a migration environment, which is the working place, right, where you actually do the magic. And it's good to have automated procedure that takes the reference environment state, takes the migrated code base in some state that is on that point of time, and create automatically migration environment where from you can start the migration process. And this is the loop of the migration loop. So you run, it's usually you run the upgrade process, the DB update tool, and if you see the error, you need to fix the error. Right, and here is the second point I want to emphasize. After we fix the error, we always try to automate the fix. Either if it's like create a SQL script that is somehow put into the automation process, or if you will create an upgrade process for Liferay, they will do it for you each time you will start it. And if it's not possible, then at least to create like pre-upgrade guideline or post-upgrade guideline, so everything is well described, and we can then very easily iterate this process again with low resources and fast. After everything is done, then we are actually ready to something we call dry run, and it's a very handy step where we like to simulate as close as possible to upgrade it live as to the final go live migration, what will be the steps behind? So there can be it's a migration checklist what we are creating here, and it could be like who will stop the environment, who will do the backup, who will do the redirects on the network infrastructure, and everything is there, including the names of the people and measured times, how much time it takes. And then this you can run several times until you are sure that actually you have all the points there. And right before we go live, you can do this. The whole cycle, including taking new updated data from the live environment and running your automated procedure. This is fast. Does not cost too much, and doing it this way, then you have this automated and migration process and test migration process that is then much more reliable and much less stressful, and then easier to do the final upgrade. The last point I would like to talk about is choose the right team. It's about people, right? Because what we painfully learned in our projects was that migration is the most human resources sensitive project what you can have. Because if you think about that, on Greenfield project, you can put a lot of juniors, give them guidelines, and they can start doing portless on one platform. For the migration project, you need to have developer who knows how 6.2 was working, that what for are the service utils. Then he needs to know declarative services. He needs to know how to use them, and he needs to know what is a concept of portlet ID and upgrade processes, how to create them, because on the way you would like probably to upgrade the portlet IDs. And you need to have a SQL expert, because there is a need of analysis of database and the creation of scripts, and you need to have DevOps probably, because sometimes, as I said, you need to change the build process and you need to automate something. So this is very sensitive, and one group of people I want to emphasize, the testers, because it's sometimes underestimated, but that can actually ruin the project if you don't have a skilled testers. There is nothing in the tooling of Liferay that can say that you actually migrated stuff right. There is nothing like left to right analysis of data that can say that you have all the data in place. You probably need to do it manually, or at least semi-manually, and therefore you need a skilled testing team. And once we had a project then where we got from our partner a testing team who was skilled enough, but he lacked knowledge of Liferay. These people saw the Liferay for the first time. And it was a nightmare, because they started to generate tons of false positives, and our developers only were calling them and try to explain what is the permissioning system, why the versions 6 to 7 completely have different administration, right? The system settings are different. So finally we ended up by dedicating 1.5 FTE from our development team for testers to unblock them, and for sure it influenced our timeline, right? So be prepared also to think about if you have testers that will be able to ensure that your migration was fine. There are two more slides that I have that I think also are important when you are thinking and planning the migration. One thing is, and there was actually a nice presentation in the morning about that you maybe need to try things out of the box. Sometimes you need to step up from the first idea and see maybe some more straight line. And this could be also in case of upgrade or migration, because sometimes if you don't need it really, it's better to not upgrade and start just a new instance from the scratch. it could be if there is a minimum content, or if there is so much technical debt that to migrate all the complicated customizations will actually take a lot of time, and you can maybe find much easier way if just show you the customer how 7.0 behaves, maybe some features that actually was heavily customized changed, and you don't need to do customizations on this at all. Or maybe, and I was in one project where there was a huge redesign, so we also started from the greenfield, and if I can compare a similar project that have the similar amount of bad customizations and the similar amount of content, and the way the project we did that was like done on the greenfield, it was so less stressful and so much predictable and so easy to do that also I would always consider also this option. And last point, you are not alone, right? Sometimes people come here ask that we are trying something for a long time and we are not succeeding, but there are a lot of resources of support that you can use. And if you are the DXP customer, for sure you need to use a help center, and don't hesitate to create tickets as soon as possible, because Liferay not only can fix the bugs for you, but they can also guide you through the process, or they can do analysis of data for you, or maybe even provide you some tooling for that. And if you are not the DXP customer, still you have there a lot of information in documentation, or you can use community Slack or forums, or you can ask some partner around. There are usually some Liferay enthusiasts who will probably be able to help you somehow. And also I would like to mention Marketplace. There are some modules like this David Nebinger's DB Pruner that can help you, for example, this one with clean up data before the migration. Well, so this was my view on how the migration, the main points that you should not miss when thinking and planning the migration from the perspective of someone who not only develop projects but also do some technical leadership and planning with the customer what will be the direction of development of their platform. And in the end, maybe I would like to wish to all of you who still have the migration in front of you to enjoy the game and fulfill the goals that you have, and for good all of us to make your Liferay upgrade process a success story. Thank you.
Thank you, Gustav. So I think we have a couple of minutes left if there are any questions from the audience.
Yeah, when you're talking about an automated migration process, what kind of tools have you used to make that happen?
Can you repeat the start of the question?
When you are implementing all your migration steps into a automated process, what tools have you used to make that process happen?
Yeah, it depends on environment where you are. If it's in our environment, we have Bamboo and the base scripts on the environment that we can use. That we have SQL scripts that we to instantly evolve during the process. So each time you loop it, there can be a lot of problems are, for example, with links inside articles, inside the content. So each time you find some inconsistency that something is not displayed or is wrong, you probably will do a SQL update or create the upgrade implementation of Liferay upgrade process that is fixing it. And sometimes, also I didn't mention it maybe in the presentation, the fixing of the error sometimes is not just do automation, but maybe you need to go to live and fix something on live. It could be like cleanup of data. It's typical that you clean the data rather before you start doing migration, but it can be also about the fixing the inconsistencies of data in live environments, so you don't have then the problem in the process. So, I mean, it's common tools. There's nothing special, nothing like our custom It's just the common tools that are provided, and yeah, DevOps.
One more down here.
Yeah, Jirko.
Hi, Gustav. Thank you for the presentation. I'd like to, if I get it right, you're recommending to actually rewrite the old stuff var modules to the OSGI, but I would like to ask if you have any experience with actually converting big var archives to the VAPs, and if you got any examples where you are running these on the live environment and how it actually affects the performance if you convert var to the VAP, if it runs smoothly or if it's somehow broken or problematic scenario.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my personal opinion was from the beginning that we should always try to modularize the content, because it seems to me that if you do like mid-step, you always tell will in the future migrate completely modularized, right? And maybe this mid-step can generate problems, and actually it did. Now I think we overcome, we've solved the problems with the automatic conversion to VAPs. There are some options that you can, which you can use to tune the instance, for example, to speed up the deployment process of VAPs or VARs to Liferay. So I think it's doable. We have a project that we had a lot of VARs deployed and used them. I don't think that there are some like problems with performance after. I didn't see them or notice them, but I think I would advise always to, if it's possible, to migrate completely to OSGI, because even if for developers it's more enjoyable maybe to learn something new, and then all the debugging and the process that you don't have too much under control can generate some delays and everything. So yeah, but sometimes you need it, so it's an option.